Hi, and welcome to part 2 of Contribute to Positive Outcomes. So when we're looking at this, we need to identify and resolve poor work performance in either ourselves or others. And it's really important. One of the benefits of working as a team is the ability to do this and being able to identify results, identify poor work performance in just ourselves, but also our team members and help ourselves work together. So in terms of benefits of working as a team, we have obviously the ability or the greater chance of making a quality system. We also have greater job satisfaction and we perform better. In terms of the consequences of not working as a team, we waste time. We flush money down the drain. We could lose our jobs or we miss opportunities in the business. We look at work ethic. Work ethic is an important key factor in our work performance and one of the indicators in poor work performance. So work ethic is your attitude towards work, and there could be a number of things that indicate a good or bad work ethic. One of the things we look at is attendance. Do you rock up on time every day? Do you leave early every day? Do you stay late? These things could indicate a very strong or weak work ethic. Do you perform? Obviously, if you work really hard and you get results, that could be indication of a good work ethic. Do you have attention to detail? Do you just try to do your work as quickly as possible and skim over the very small details? Or do you take your time and really look at those small details that could mean the difference between a good project and a great one? What is your personal presentation and grooming like? Do you just come to work and you don't worry about what you wear and you don't worry if your hair's done nice, things like that? Or do you take the time to clean yourself up and look professional? The way you look is the first thing that people see about you, and rightly or wrongly, they judge you based on what they see. So if they see tattoos, that gives them a certain impression. If they see facial piercings, that gives them a certain impression. If they see messy hair, shirts untucked, ties undone, that gives a certain impression. If they see casual clothes versus formal clothes, that gives a certain impression. So you need to present yourself the way you wish to be viewed. So if you want to be viewed as casual, then you need to present yourself as casual. If you need to present yourself as formal, then you need to actually present yourself as formal. So it all depends on the look you're going for. But if you're looking to be professional, you need to be presented professional. Confidentiality is really important. We don't want people to go away and tell our secrets. This is obviously based on trust, which we talked about before. So we need to make sure that every time we are shared something in confidence, that we keep that confidence. We don't go and blab to anyone who will hear us. Safety is also really important. Someone who has a high regard for safety could be seen as having a good work ethic. Someone with a high regard for safety values not only their own lives and their own safety, but also the safety of others. So you're looking out for everybody else in the team, which also helps to build that team building culture. You also need to look at dealing constructively with conflict. It doesn't matter how nice you are or how much you try to avoid conflict, you will always have conflict in a workplace. And each person will always conflict with someone at some point. So you need to be able to deal with it when it happens. The important thing to note is that with conflict, there are always two issues going on. There's the actual real issue that you're fighting about, and this could be quite a large issue and quite an important issue, or it could be something relatively minor and unimportant. But there's always an issue there. But there generally is also an emotional issue at heart, and this is what gives the heat to our conflict. So these could be related to the issue, but generally they're completely unrelated. So it could be you just don't like someone, and so you always find small things to conflict over. It could be other things happening in your life. So the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. If you're having a tough time at home, for instance, then any little thing might set you off. So there's a whole lot of things that that can affect this, and it's important to be able to separate the emotion from the issue in order to deal with that conflict effectively. One of the processes we can use to deal with conflict is negotiation. So we look at trying to get to the best outcome at the end. We start with preparation. We do some research and we look at all the points about the issue, what the actual issue is, what are our likely outcomes, what outcome are we looking for, what outcome is the other person potentially looking for, and where we can see a middle ground. We discuss. So we actually sit down with the other party and we talk about what we can do. We talk about the issue at hand. We propose our idea. So here is how I think we will solve this issue. We then bargain. Okay, so we're looking for a bit of give and take. So they will propose what they think is a solution, and then we give and take. So the common example with this is when you sell a car online, you set the price really high, much higher than you would expect to take, because when a person comes around to buy your car, they're expecting to get a better deal. They will, you try to sell your car for $5,000, and I come in and say, yeah, mate, I'm only going to pay you $1,000, and obviously that's too low. But then you start high, they start low, and eventually you come down to the middle, and 2-3 grand might be actually what you were eventually going to take for it anyway, what you wanted for it. But if you start at 2 grand, then people would try to bargain you down even more. So it's important to have that bargaining in there because everyone's looking to get a better deal. Attitude. So you need to actually have the attitude of a win-win. Both people have to walk away with the feeling that they got something out of the deal. So again, with my example before about buying a car, if you set the price at 2 grand and you're firm on 2 grand, then people who would have paid 2 grand won't necessarily pay 2 grand for your car because they're not thinking they got a better deal. If you start at 3 and then come down to 2, they'll think, oh, you know what? I saved $1,000 there. That's pretty good. So you need to make sure that there is always a win-win coming out of it. There's no reason for someone to deal with you if you're the only one benefiting. They also need to benefit. So what can you give them to benefit them out of the deal? All right. There's always going to be a win-win component. Decision making. So at some point when you've negotiated, you actually have to say, yep, this is a decision that we're going to make. Okay. So hopefully you can come to an agreement, but there needs to be that agreement. Okay. So you can't just negotiate all the time. At some point, you're going to say, okay, we're going to do this. And then all through the process, you're going to be actively listening. So not just hearing what the other person is saying, but also asking follow-up questions to clarify information, a mixture of open and closed questions to make sure you get to the detail that you need, but also using those reflective questions to allow the person to know that you have heard them, you understand them, and to make sure or to clarify that you have actually understood as well. Maybe you've misheard something, but if you don't ask that reflective question, you'll never know. You also need to respond appropriately. So with any sort of conflict, you need to make sure, as I said before, to take the emotion out of the conflict where possible. You need to make sure that you deal with it according to your company's policies and procedures. You need to make sure that you respect the other person at all times, even if they're not being terribly respectful to you. And you just need to deal with it appropriately. And that's contributing to positive outcomes.